because we don't have the answers, but I think knowing that that's where we want to go is very important to acknowledge, because knowledge has been a proprietary, locally developed, and we want to be able to give access to as many people as possible in a way that they can use. That answers.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to add one thing, which is I think I'm really intrigued by the idea that you presented around scaling mentorship, because I see mentorship as such an important part of learning experience, but no one's figured out how to take that to scale yet. So if we could do that, I think that would be very impactful.
Let me just add that the forces of change are so rapid. We, the universities, are actually quite trying to grasp this whole thing. Over lunch, Sarah and I, and a colleague from DuPont were talking about this. A story from our current dean of engineering, who used to be at Berkeley. If I may repeat that for the benefit of others here. So apparently, a student came to this professor at Berkeley, who's now our current dean, and said, "Hey, I want to design this device, and I want to, make it reproducible." And this person said, "Oh, you need to know how to do finite element analysis, and you need to take this class. And that class is not offered till the spring semester." And the student went away, and a few weeks later bought a prototype. Said, "How did you do that? Why did you pick up finite element analysis?" And they went on the internet and paid $35 and got the course. So that's what is happening. The knowledge is so ubiquitous and easily available. Of course, people in universities raise questions about the quality standards and so on. And Wikipedia, of course, is not perfect, but it's the consumers are voting with their clicks, I guess, right? That they're going there in big droves. So it's really, I think the platforms and the technology infrastructure really is what is making this available in a big way.
Hi, thank you very much for the great panel. My name is Yuriko, coming from the Waseda University. We tried to create the new kind of service laboratory, integrating with education, research, and also practice. My question is about the MOOC, about the MOOC, like a service practice as well as the research and education. I think that only the internet or online is enough, since the service system need to be some prototyping to experience between the people and also the co-create the ideas. And then I want to know more about the MOOC. What do you do the online education, sharing some service system experience and so on?
I have a lot of experience about MOOC. I have a lot of experience about Bo. I have very limited experience about MOOC. And the reason why I brought this up, I'm hoping that we are going to develop this MOOC concept together. But there is no question in my mind that adding a service science component is going, as I said, to restore the balance between this mechanical type of e-learning, which is being imposed by MOOC type of thing, with the need of personal interaction with students participating in the educational experiment. Because we are going to talk about and discuss about value co-creation, interaction, innovation, team building, everything what we do as humans to create something new. And this process can be supported by mechanical infrastructure, but cannot replace our discussion and interaction face to face. So we've done one experiment last year in Berlin at the educational conference when I introduced some of the concepts of service science, and we are planning to have those workshops this year. One of them will be in Dubai, and another one will be in Africa, in Ethiopia. And we are going to pay attention to this last module, what I just described in one of my slides, when we are going to discuss with local people about value co-creation. But by no means this concept is not mature, it's not very well developed, and you would be more than welcome to join us and help us to make sure that we, all the people, we are doing right things.
If I may add, one of the great challenges, how do you create a global coaching culture that could be scalable? Because there is no book that can substitute for experience. And if someone has great experience and they're able to transmit that in real work, not in academic terms, but in real work with students, we can create that scalability because when we look at the global economy, those regions that were developed, whether it be in India or Israel or Taiwan, there was an awful lot of coaching that came from the multinationals that brought best practices into those areas. And Taiwan's whole, as I understand the education system, is geared based on creating that kind of a workforce, but it's integrated with industry, and those best practices came from the multinationals. So as soon as we remove coaching from people who have been in industry or have been in business from the academic environment, we remove the foundation of being able to succeed, in my opinion, because no academic is going to be able to bring that level of coaching and that level of experience broadly to students as these companies have. How do we integrate them is a challenge.
Thank you. To that point, one of the things that we're doing at ISEP is what we call our open service innovation coaching platform. And working with the two of you and others and Professor Rosinski. And one of the things that we see in that is one element of it, Hunter, you said that there's coaching for students and there's another element of it for executives. And we think this open innovation, service innovation is something, it's a journey that a lot of companies are making, and they're at different level of maturity on this journey. And ISEP is becoming the platform to scale. And there's a program that we just kicked off. The chair of this program is Rick McMaster. It's basically one of the ways for us to scale this program. It's the ISEP Emeritus program. We're working with very experienced industry people who are moving to the next phase of their lives, getting out of IBM and getting out of some of these companies, and basically getting into coaching younger people. So just wanted to share that.
Sure. Is there one last question? Yes.
I have a question. In a way, when I studied 30 years ago, you were driven by being a specialist. Then over the time it came up, you have to be a system integrator. You have to think about the system. So this is a little bit your T, what you have there. Then we asked about leadership. You said a lot of things about leadership. This is team building and working with the humans and all those things. Now here I hear the time about service. So we have to go after the service innovation. What I'm curious how you think about a student will be able to solve this out. He has to be a specialist, he has to be broad, he has to be a very social team worker, he has to use all the service innovation. They will be overwhelmed. What I think we try to do in the company is that we want to have people who have some of these attributes. We call this, by the way, inclusive innovation or integrated innovation, that we will still look to universities where they have made a decision what is most important to educate. Some universities go deep in the specialty. Some are educating on the system. Some are combining business school with engineering in a leadership art together. But sometimes you need mixture of people with a mindset, but you still need very much people in this one part. And I don't see how we are solving this and trying to get our higher ed together, and then also how the philosophy from the companies are fitting together. So I'm afraid if we are adding another dimension and another dimension, it will be very hard for our students to drive this and be successful. We have this expression, you are not fish, you are not meat, you are something. And then I think this is also difficult to find a job in there too. Maybe you have some comments on this one.
I'll make an attempt. So I would simplify it into three things. Be great at something. Really know something, be excellent at something. As Dr. Alter said, get to the degree of failure and then get beyond that, get a real competency in something. Develop empathy. If you can develop empathetic skills, you can do everything else that we talked about. Team building, leadership, crossing boundaries, and all those kinds of things. And third, develop an outcomes focus. What matters is the outcome. And one of the things that happens with an outcomes focus is every once in a while you fail, which is great. That's terrific learning because it adds to your experience and so on. So if we can do those three things, at the risk of vast oversimplification, then I think you've got a valuable student who can enter any workforce and succeed. So if the problem is overcomplicating it, that would be my simplification.
So this is the last question, and we end up with an optimistic note. 2,000 years ago, Seneca complained about the young generation, and we are not different. But we have to agree, honestly, that the next generation is always smarter than the older generation. So I do believe that there's a great future ahead of us, and we are shaping this future. And the next generation is going to address those challenges using maybe the T-shaped approach much better, and with the help of technology and other means that they can survive and create a better world for everybody. Thank you.
If I may just throw one other thing in, and that's if the two questions for students, for anybody today is, where do I fit in terms of the kind of work I like to do, the kind of people I like to work with, the kind of structure I like to have. In other words, where do I fit is a very important question because the workplace now allows for far more idiosyncrasy and roles. People can play roles. And how do I add value gets to the level that I think you were addressing, is what do I have mastery in that adds value into a system in which there are many. Somebody said this morning, many of the jobs that are going to be the highest jobs have not yet even been created in terms of their job descriptions. So that is emergent, but if the education is of the whole person rather than simply the competency of chemistry, then that person is going to be able to navigate their career far better.